So it's Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Lyndon Arthur, former Commonwealth champion, and hopefully in about a month's time, the new IBO light heavyweight champion. Lyndon, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, mate. Just on the way to the physio. Make sure I get the MOT.
Glad to hear it. Now, you're going up against Brian Suarez in about a month's time. It was supposed to happen back in March, and he pulled out quite late on with a medical problem. You ended up fighting a late replacement in Boris Crichton, who came and gave it a good go, in fairness to him, but he got the job done pretty clearly, as it turned out. What was that whole experience like, the kind of late notice pull out and then having to deal with someone new?
Yeah, it was a weird one. Obviously, I'd weighed in. I got off the scales. I walked over to my manager. Man, he's like, "You're not fighting him." He's like, "Still want to fight? We're gonna try and get your replacement." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And then they said, "Right, you're fighting Boris." I sparred Boris quite a few times. Pat telling me, "Stay switched on stage," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, I am." But it's weird as a fighter. It's like you're up there for kind of a, let's say, a world title fight, and then it just gets all taken away, and you're doing a 10 rounder against someone that you spar. It's one of them ones. So you felt, as much as you try and G yourself up, you feel a bit flat, like just by accident, and suppose that's what happened.
With Suarez kind of having the illness, he's been inactive even longer than he was before. You've obviously got the 10 rounds in. It might not have been perfect in your mind, but you got that activity. Do you think that benefits you a little bit in comparison?
I don't know. Fighters are fighters. Fighters, we he will get up for it same way he was gonna get up for it the first time.
Hmm.
It's a world title fight, and he's a good fighter. He's got a lot of power. He's not going to be coming to lose. So I don't. Once we get in there, I'll find out. I'll find out about him.
Boxing wise, you would start a pretty big favourite, I would imagine. You've got the technical skills, really good amateur as well. As you said, he packs power in both hands, but you would be expected to outbox him if it is a boxing match. Is that kind of the key thing here, to keep your discipline, keep your shape, and make it your sort of fight?
Yeah, just as long as I do what I can do best, I believe I'll be victorious. I believe I'll get him out of there. That's just what I. So I'm going into this fight confident.
And what does the IBO title mean to you? I know we talked about this before when the fight was first scheduled, but just give us an idea of where it sits in your list of targets, if you like.
It's a great belt to have. It's getting a little bit more recognition now. It's obviously not as big as the other titles, but it's a version of a world title, and it just there's a lot of good fighters have held the belt. I will be one of them after the 1st September, so I'm excited to fight for it.
And in the press release that went out, you said you were really excited for this fight because you believe it can open a lot of doors for yourself and for Manchester. Give us an idea of what those doors look like. What are those big fights that you're looking to nail down if all goes well on September the 1st?
Fight is big, the other belts are out there. Obviously, they're tied up a little bit now, but eventually, and big domestic fights as well. Even without the other belts that are involved, there's a lot of fights to be made. A lot of bargaining power, a little bit of bargaining power with this belt, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Let me ask you about some of those domestic fights and also the world scene, because we talked before about an eventual showdown between Beterbiev and Bivol for all the belts. But next up for Beterbiev appears to be Callum Smith, the mandatory contender. That's just been delayed, unfortunately. Beterbiev's got some dental issues, apparently, but we expect it to be rescheduled. What do you make of that? Because you said before you favour Bivol slightly over Beterbiev because he's the better boxer. Callum Smith's obviously a very good boxer in his own right, also carries a bit of power. What do you make of Callum's chances against Beterbiev?
Yeah, it's got high chances. I said before on another interview, and I think everyone's waiting for Beterbiev to get older, like overnight kind of thing. Um, so I think it's a case of what Beterbiev's a monster, so it's a case of what he's got left in his tank. in regards to his age. Obviously, he's 38, 39. He's been fighting for a long time. He's been in some good fights. He had a good fight last time with Yard. Yard pushed him a little bit. So I think it's a case of a bit more, Callum's been about for a long time. He's been world champion. They've both been through a lot, but Callum's the younger. So if Beterbiev has got older overnight, because it's a thing that happens, then it can be interesting.
I mean, Callum, as you said, he's younger. He's also not had a lot of wars, has he? There was the Canelo fight where he got his arm injury, but aside from that, I can't recall many kind of grueling 12-rounders where he's had to really battle it out.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be the fresher of the. I would say the fresher of the two in regards to stuff like that, and then with the age as well. It'll be interesting.
Good stuff. Now, just mentioned Callum there. You fought Anthony Yard twice already. And then you've got Dan Azeez and Joshua Buatsi, two other domestic rivals who are meeting later this year in a WBA final eliminator for Bivol, presumably. What do you make of that? How do you size that one up?
Good fight. Good fight. As I said a minute ago again, I think it's hard for Dan Azeez to be in not a good fight because of his style. And Buatsi as well. So that'll be a fight I'm looking forward to watching. There's a lot of good fights to be happening with the British light heavyweights. The mix up. There's a lot of us. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of us that are good as well. So all of us together, we all make good fights. And I do believe that eventually we will all fight each other at some point.
We've seen Kalle Sauerland, who's obviously head of Wasserman Boxing, work with Boxer a few times recently, mainly with like Liam Smith against Chris Eubank Jr. twice. So feasibly, you could fight the winner of Azeez and Buatsi unless they go straight in with Bivol. Is that something you'd like, the winner of that?
Yeah, like I said, these domestic fights are fights that's supposed to happen. Everyone gets behind them and stuff like that. So like I said, I do believe that these fights will happen at some point.
Brilliant. Now, last time we spoke, we talked about Jake Paul and Tommy Fury's fight. You said, I think it was Jake Paul would need some miracle shit to beat Fury in a rematch. It looks like there's not going to be a rematch anytime soon, but Tommy Fury's carrying on his crusade against the influencers. He's going up against KSI in October. What do you make of that? And do you give KSI any more of a chance than Jake Paul had?
I make it fair play to them because they're going to go and make a lot of money. And but it's easy to say that Tommy should win because of his boxer, etc. But sometimes it's hard to fight these unorthodox guys that are a bit wild and like KSI is a bit wild and Jake Paul's and stuff like that. They throw shots that they're not even aware they're throwing. And again, there's always going to be pressure on Tommy more than there will be on KSI because KSI is just like when you put it down to it, he's just a YouTube boxer. He's like Tommy Fury's got the Fury name. He's been like he's expected to win a lot more than KSI is expected to win. Do you know what I mean? So with the added pressure of that, it will always be a hard fight.
Who would you still back Tommy to come out on top? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, no, 1,000,000% I do. I just understand. Like it's all everyone saying he should beat him and da 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 da. Let's not forget Tommy's also young, and there's like I said, the added pressure that he got for the Jake Paul fight, saying like without everyone saying that his family are gonna dethrone him and he's gonna stay in Saudi Arabia if he don't get beat or wherever he boxes and da da da. That's a lot of pressure on a young man. And you're fighting someone that might not be that good, but they're wild and they're a bit unorthodox, and it's one of them things. But I do back him to beat KSI.
If KSI loses, like you alluded to there, he's still KSI. Like, he's still a superstar and a billionaire probably now.
He can still go and fight Logan. If them two fight, he can still go and fight fucking Salt Papi or Andy Taylor, or that world there. A loss is going to be not the same as losing for Sammy Fiore. So this is what it is. Good luck to them both.
And I can't let you go without talking about the week of boxing we've just had. We saw Naoya Inoue win a world title at another weight, very impressive against Stephen Fulton. But then just a few days after that, maybe an even greater claim for the pound-for-pound #1 in Terence Crawford, who dominated Errol Spence.
I don't think there's no question. I don't think there's no question into that. He's pound-for-pound #1 now. I don't. I do. Yeah. I do think Errol was weight drained a little bit. Like I do. He just looked flat. And he looked like he had no idea what to do. So I guess that's down to Terence as well. But I would like to see at 154. I didn't think Terence would be able to make it look that easy. I was in shock watching it. Shock. It's crazy.
Was it, when you watch fights like that and the Inoue fight as well, does it, as a boxer, does it get your juices flowing about being in those sort of fights yourself, like the really huge ones?
Yeah, you always want to be in field arenas and big weigh-ins and stuff like that. So it's good to get your motivation from.
Good stuff. Well, I'll let you get off. I know you've got to go and have your MOT, not the car, but you. But yeah, hopefully all being well, we'll see you add another belt to the collection on the 1st of September.
No doubt.